Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to another episode where we explore the beautiful journey of learning English. I am Tom, and I am so happy to be here with you today.
And I am Ria. Hello, Tom. And a big, warm hello to all our listeners from around the world. I am really excited about today's topic because it is something that actually changed my life. And I think it can change the lives of our listeners, too.
I completely agree, Ria. Today, we are not just talking about grammar rules or vocabulary lists. We are going deeper. We are talking about the mind. The title of today's episode is You Become What You Think.
That is such a powerful phrase. You become what you think. It sounds almost like magic, doesn't it? But it's not magic. It's actually how our psychology works, especially when we're learning a new language like English.
Exactly. You know, Ria, when I first started learning languages years ago, I used to be very hard on myself. I would wake up and think, oh no, I have to study today. It's going to be so difficult. I'll probably make so many mistakes.
Ugh, I know that feeling so well. It's like you're defeating yourself before you even start. You're setting yourself up for failure.
Yes, that's it. I was telling my brain that the task was impossible. And because I thought it was impossible, my brain made it feel impossible. I felt tired before I even opened the book. But then I read a quote that said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you are right.
That's a famous quote by Henry Ford, right? It is so true. If you tell yourself, I am a bad English speaker, then every time you speak, you will feel nervous. You will hesitate. And that nervousness will actually make you speak worse. So your thought becomes your reality.
Precisely. It becomes a cycle, a circle. You think negative thoughts, so you feel fear. Because of the fear, you make mistakes. And because you make mistakes, you think, see, I knew I was bad at this. We have to break that circle.
So, Tom, how do we break it? Because I think many of our listeners might be thinking, okay, Ria and Tom, that sounds nice, but how do I actually change my thoughts? It's not easy to just suddenly be positive.
You're right, it's not easy. It takes practice, just like learning vocabulary. The first step is awareness. You have to catch yourself when you're thinking something negative. For example, imagine you're about to go into a meeting where you have to speak English. What's the first thought in your head?
If I'm honest, in the past, my first thought would be, please don't ask me a question. I don't want to look stupid.
That is a very honest answer, and I think thousands of people listening right now are nodding their heads saying, yes, me too. But imagine if you caught that thought. Imagine you stopped it and replaced it. Instead of, I don't want to look stupid, you force yourself to think, I'm excited to share my opinion.
That feels very different, even just saying it now. I'm excited to share my opinion. It changes the physical feeling in my body. My shoulders relax a little bit.
That's the physical power of thoughts. Your body reacts to what your mind says. If your mind says danger, your body gets tight. If your mind says opportunity, your body opens up. And for speaking English, you need an open body and a relaxed throat to pronounce words clearly.
That is such a good point. When we're stressed, our breathing gets shallow and we speak too fast. So, positive thinking actually helps your physical pronunciation. That is amazing.
It really is. We're going to talk more about how to rewrite your internal story. But first, I think we've been using some interesting words in this first section. Shall we review them for our listeners?
Yes, let's do that. We always want to make sure you understand the deeper meanings of the words we use. Here are the 3 hardest words from the last few minutes.
The first word is hesitate. To hesitate means to pause before you do something, usually because you are unsure or nervous. If you're afraid to speak, you might hesitate before answering a question.
The second word is psychology. This is the study of the mind and how it works. When we talk about how thoughts affect our actions, we're talking about psychology.
And the third word is defeating. To defeat someone is to win against them. But if we say you are defeating yourself, it means you are stopping your own success. You are the one blocking your own path.
Those are great words. So, Tom, I have a specific question for you based on these words. Do you think that the psychology of a student is more important than the textbook they're using?
Wow, that's a big question. Honestly, Ria, yes, I do. You can have the best textbook in the world, the best teacher, and the best app, but if your psychology is full of fear and hesitation, you will not learn. But if you have a strong, positive mindset, you can learn English just by watching movies or talking to people. The tool is less important than the builder.
I love that metaphor. The tool is less important than the builder. It reminds me of a story from my own life. A few years ago, I decided I wanted to learn how to swim. I was an adult and I was terrified of water.
Really? I didn't know that about you. You seem so confident.
Oh, I was terrified. I was convinced that I would sink. My thought was, I am heavy, the water is dangerous. And guess what happened the first time I got in the pool?
I am guessing you struggled?
I struggled so much. I was splashing around, I swallowed water, I was panicking. My instructor told me, Ria, you are fighting the water. You have to trust that the water will hold you.
That is deep. You were fighting the water. It's exactly like English learners fighting the language.
Yes, I was trying so hard not to drown that I couldn't swim. I had to change my thought to, the water supports me. Once I truly believed that, my body relaxed and I floated. It was like magic, but it was just a change in thought.
That is a beautiful story, and it applies perfectly to our listeners. English is like the water. If you fight it, if you're scared of it, you will struggle. But if you relax and trust that you can communicate, even imperfectly, you will float. You will speak.
And you know, Tom, there's another aspect to this you become what you think concept. It's about identity. A lot of learners say, I am an English student.
Yes, that sounds normal. What is wrong with that?
Well, nothing is wrong with it, but a student is someone who is trying to learn. A student makes mistakes. A student is not an expert. What if we started saying, I am an English speaker?
Ah, I see the shift. I am a speaker. A speaker is someone who uses the language. A speaker communicates. It feels more active. It feels more permanent.
Exactly. If I think I am a student, I'm always waiting for permission to speak. I'm waiting until I'm perfect. If I think I am a speaker, I just speak. I might make mistakes, but I'm still a speaker.
That is a very powerful shift in identity. It reminds me of the phrase, fake it until you make it. Have you heard that?
Yes, it means you pretend to be confident until you actually become confident.
Right. If you walk into a room and act like you speak good English, you stand tall, you smile, you make eye contact, people will treat you like you speak good English. And because they treat you that way, you feel more confident. And suddenly, you actually are speaking good English.
It's funny how the brain works. The brain doesn't always know the difference between reality and imagination. If you imagine yourself speaking fluently, your brain creates neural pathways for fluency. Athletes do this, right?
Yes, they do visualization. A runner will visualize the race before they run it. They imagine every step. English learners should do this too. Close your eyes and imagine yourself having a conversation in English. Imagine yourself laughing, understanding, and responding.
I try to do that before I record these podcasts, actually. I imagine our listeners smiling. I imagine the connection. It helps me feel less like I'm talking to a microphone and more like I'm talking to a friend.
And that's why you sound so natural, Ria, because in your mind, we're just having coffee with friends.
We are! I wish we had coffee right now. But Tom, before we move to the next part, I think we have hit another milestone for some vocabulary.
I think you're right. We have used some strong concepts here. Let's break down the three hardest words from this section.
The first word is terrified. This is a strong emotion. It doesn't just mean scared, it means extremely scared. Like, I was terrified of the water.
The second word is concept. A concept is an abstract idea or a general notion. When we talk about you become what you think, that's a concept. It's an idea we're exploring.
And the third is visualization. This comes from the word visual, which means sight. Visualization is the act of forming a mental image of something. It's dreaming with purpose.
Okay, Ria, hit me with your question for this section.
All right. Tom, regarding visualization, do you think it's possible to visualize too much? Can a student spend so much time dreaming about being fluent that they forget to actually study?
That's a very practical question. The answer is absolutely yes. Visualization is not a replacement for action. It's fuel for action. If you visualize a garden, but you never plant any seeds, you will still have an empty field. You have to do the work. But the visualization makes the work easier. It makes the work feel meaningful.
I like that distinction. Fuel for action. So we need the positive thought, but we also need the daily habit.
Correct. Let's talk about that daily habit. How do we keep our thoughts positive when we're having a bad day? Because we all have bad days. Days where we forget words, days where we don't understand what someone said.
Ugh, those days are tough. I call them brain fog days.
Brain fog. That is a great description. When everything feels cloudy. On those days, the negative thoughts come back very quickly. They say, you are not making progress. You are stuck.
When that happens to me, I try to change the timeline. Instead of looking at just today, I look back 6 months. I ask myself, do I know more now than I did 6 months ago?
That is a brilliant strategy. It's about perspective. We often look at the mountain ahead of us and see how far we have to go. We rarely look down the mountain and see how far we have climbed.
Yes, celebration is so important. We need to celebrate small wins. If you learned 5 new words this week, that is a victory. If you understood a joke in a movie, that is a victory.
And you should verbally tell yourself that. Good job, me. I understood that. It reinforces the positive pathway in your brain. It's like training a dog. You give a dog a treat when it does something good. You need to give your brain a treat, which is praise, when it does something good.
But many of us are raised to be modest. We think it is arrogant to praise ourselves.
That is a cultural barrier, for sure. But in the privacy of your own mind, you must be your biggest fan. Because the world will challenge you. English is a hard language. There are irregular verbs, strange spellings, different accents. If you are not on your own team, who will be?
If you're not on your own team, who will be? I am going to write that down. That is profound. It reminds me of how we talk to children. When a baby is learning to walk and they fall down, we don't say, "You are terrible at walking, give up."
No, we clap. We say, get up, you can do it, good try.
Exactly. But when we learn English as adults and we make a mistake, we tell ourselves, "You're stupid." Why don't we treat ourselves like we treat a baby learning to walk?
Because we have lost that innocence. We have fear of judgment now. But to learn fast, we have to become like children again. We have to be willing to fall down and laugh.
Laughter is key. If you say the wrong word and it sounds funny, just laugh. Don't be embarrassed. I remember once I tried to say kitchen in Spanish, which is cocina, but I said coquina with a wrong emphasis, and I think I said something about a pig? I don't remember exactly, but the waiter laughed.
And did you die?
I did not die. I laughed too, and now I never forget that word. The emotion of laughter helped me remember.
See? A positive reaction to a mistake led to learning. A negative reaction, like shame, would have made you silent. So the thought, mistakes are funny and helpful, is a much better thought than mistakes are shameful.
It really comes down to choosing your thoughts. It sounds like hard work, constantly monitoring your mind.
It is work. It's mental exercise, just like going to the gym. At first, lifting the weight is heavy, but after a month, it's light. At first, choosing a positive thought is hard, but eventually it becomes your default setting. You become an optimist by habit.
And that's when the magic happens. When you automatically think, I can understand this, your brain works harder to understand it. Tom, I think we're at another vocabulary checkpoint.
I think so too. We have been flowing through some great ideas. Let's look at the 3 words for this section.
The first word is perspective. This means a particular attitude toward or way of regarding something, a point of view, like looking down the mountain instead of up.
The second word is reinforce. To reinforce means to strengthen an object or substance, or in psychology, to reinforce a behavior. When you praise yourself, you reinforce the learning.
And the third word is arrogant. This is an adjective. It describes someone who has an exaggerated sense of their own abilities or importance. We said praising yourself isn't arrogant, it is necessary.
Okay, Ria, what is your question for this part?
My question is about reinforcing. Tom, what is one simple thing our listeners can do today, right now, to reinforce their identity as an English speaker?
I love actionable advice. Here's my challenge. Go to the mirror, look at yourself in the eyes, and say out loud, I am a confident English speaker and I'm getting better every day.
It feels a bit silly to talk to a mirror, doesn't it?
It feels very silly. That's the point. Push past the silliness. Do it until you believe it. Your voice is the most influential voice in your life. You need to hear yourself say it.
I am going to do that tonight. I am a confident podcaster.
You already are, Ria, but yes, do it.
You know, Tom, as we're getting closer to the end of this episode, I want to talk about the long term. We say, you become what you think. Does this mean if I think I am fluent, I will wake up fluent tomorrow?
No. And this is important. It is not instantaneous. It is a direction. Think of a ship in the ocean. If the captain changes the direction by just 1 degree, you don't notice it immediately. But after traveling for a week, that ship will end up in a completely different country.
That is a great visual. So our thoughts are setting the compass direction.
Exactly. If your compass is set to, I am bad at English, you are traveling toward failure. If you adjust your compass to, I am capable, you are traveling toward fluency. You just have to keep the engine running.
And the engine is practice. Listening to podcasts like this, reading, speaking.
Yes, the thoughts give you the energy to keep the engine running. If you are miserable, you will turn the engine off. You will quit. If you are enjoying the journey, you will keep going. And the only way to enjoy the journey is to think positively about it.
I think about the listeners who are perhaps driving to work right now, or cooking dinner, or maybe walking the dog. They are doing the work right now. They are listening.
They are. And I want to tell them, the fact that you are listening to this podcast, engaging with these complex ideas in a second language, that proves you're intelligent. That proves you're dedicated.
Yes, if you can understand us, you are already winning. You are already a success story. Do not let your brain tell you otherwise.
It is so easy to forget how far we have come. I remember when I started learning Spanish, I couldn't order a coffee. Now I can read books, but sometimes I still feel frustrated. I have to remind myself of the coffee days.
The coffee days. I like that. We all have our humble beginnings.
Ria, before we wrap up, I want to share one last technique for our listeners regarding thoughts. It is called the yet technique.
The yet technique? Tell me more.
It is very simple. Whenever you hear yourself say, I can't speak English very well, you must add the word yet at the end.
I can't speak English very well yet.
Yes, I don't understand this grammar rule yet. I am not fluent yet.
Oh, I love that. It completely changes the sentence. It changes it from a dead end into a bridge. It implies that in the future, it will happen.
Exactly. It leaves the door open for growth. I can't slams the door shut, yet keeps it open.
It is such a tiny word, but so powerful. I think we should all adopt yet into our daily vocabulary.
I agree. Well, Ria, I think we have given our listeners a lot to think about today.
We certainly have. We've talked about the feedback loop of thoughts, the power of visualization, breaking the negative cycle, and the magic of the word yet.
But before we say goodbye, we have one final vocabulary review. These are the last 3 words for today.
Okay, let's do it.
The first word is instantaneous. This means happening instantly, right away. We said learning is not instantaneous, it is a process.
The second word is compass. A compass is an instrument used for navigation that shows the direction. We used it as a metaphor for your mindset setting your direction.
And the final word is adopt. To adopt means to choose to take up or follow an idea, method, or course of action, like adopting the yet technique.
Ria, my final question for you today. If our listeners could only remember one single sentence from this entire 30-minute conversation, what should it be?
That's a tough one, but I would choose this. Be kind to yourself because your mind is listening.
Be kind to yourself because your mind is listening. That is beautiful. If you're constantly criticizing yourself, your mind believes the criticism. If you are kind, your mind believes in your potential.
Exactly. Treat yourself like your own best friend. Encourage yourself. When you stumble, pick yourself up.
Thank you so much, Tom. This has been such an uplifting conversation. I feel more motivated to work on my own goals now.
Thank you, Ria, and thank you to everyone listening to Real English Voices. We appreciate you, we believe in you, and we know that if you keep your thoughts positive, you will achieve your English goals.
Don't forget to practice what we talked about. Watch your thoughts, add yet to your sentences, and stand in front of that mirror.
Yes, do the mirror challenge. We'll see you in the next episode for more Slow English.
Bye, everyone. Keep learning, keep smiling.
Goodbye.